We're joined by Mick O'Toole. He is the crime and defence correspondent with the Irish Daily Star. Mick, you have been covering the Kinahans and the cartel for many years now. Could you just tell us a little bit of background about them? Why is it now, really, as well, that the US has decided to get involved in such a huge way?
It's a very good question. I first covered the Kinahans in early 2002 when Daniel Kinahan was charged with a number of others with assaulting, I think it was 2 off-duty Gardaí at Shelburne Park in Dublin. And he was put into custody and we got a picture of him being driven away. And really at that stage, he was just an ordinary fella charged with an offence. I think we probably knew there was something bigger to him at that stage, probably why I was down there with the photographer. But really, 2007, 2008, even 2005, he just started to explode. The whole Kinahan cartel just started to explode. I was looking at the stories that I've done on the Kinahans since 2002, and I think I've done over 1,000. And then on the 5th of February 2016, the Hutches hit back and they tried to kill Daniel Kinahan again at the famous Regency Airport Hotel shooting. They missed Kinahan by seconds. Again, his security detail reacted. One of them threw a bottle of water at one of the gunmen, managed to get Kinahan out. Several people escaped. One of them was David Byrne, a man who had been a close associate in the drug street of Daniel Kinahan. But David Byrne managed to escape, but he ran back into the hotel. And you know all about the fake ERU men. One of them saw David Byrne, one of their top targets, and they shot him dead. That was a massive, really massive crime, but what came afterwards was even bigger.
Yeah. And Mick, I remember being at the Regency Hotel that night of that shooting. You were obviously there. At that time, did you realise that this was the beginning of something quite serious, or had you any idea at that point what was out or what was about to come?
Yes and no. I remember I went on radio on the Monday, so that happened on the Friday. On the Monday, I went on Sean O'Rourke's show, and I said, "Look, this Kinahan gang are absolutely massive, and there will be absolute hell to pay for this." So that was at about 10:30. At 8:30 that night, a man called Eddie Hutch was shot dead. He would be Jerry Hutch's brother. He's a 58-year-old man. He was walking into his house, had no involvement in the crime, picked off because he was a member of the Hutch family, and that really was the start of a tsunami of not only murders but attempted murders. For about a year, from February 2016 until February 2017, it was mayhem in Dublin. Our office is just off Talbot Street there. And, you can remember seeing the ERU, the Emergency Response Unit, the Armed Support Unit, Special Detective Unit, all going around with MP7 machine pistols and Heckler and Koch 416 assault rifles. Obviously, I'm from Belfast. I grew up with the Troubles, seeing soldiers in the streets, and it was deeply troubling for me. I know the guards had to do it, and they were mounting life-saving operations, but I just didn't like seeing armed Gardaí so heavily. That they had to, but it was a consequence of the real cataclysmic events that were happening in Irish gangland. It was really bad for a year. And look, as journalists, I'm sure you were up to your tonsils with it. It didn't stop for me. It was just one day after the other, and it was it was unending.
I mean, there was a shooting every week that year, wasn't there?
I was living in city centre at the time, and even that brings me back, Mick. Even those checkpoints with the ERU and the submachine guns and body armour and masked up guards. It was really just an intense time in the city. But I want to ask, there is a view now, and you're hearing this confidence expressed by Gardaí that the days of the Kinahan cartel are numbered. Are you as confident as the authorities would be that era is coming to an end?
I would actually, yeah. We did a story in Monday's paper. We got a bit of a sniff about what was going to happen on Tuesday. We knew that there might be, some economic sanctions against Daniel Kinahan, and we knew that he was going to be put on a no-fly list. But I was absolutely gobsmacked by the scale of the press conference, by the scale of the sanctions that were announced. 7 people and businesses, but also, they went after Christy Kinahan, the father, Christy Jr., Daniel, who would be Christopher Kinahan Sr. would be the chairman of the cartel. Daniel Kinahan is the chief executive. He runs the show. But it's just, $5 million rewards. When I saw Miss Cronin, the US ambassador to Ireland, speaking at the press conference and announcing this reward, I knew that this was a game changer because, Ireland is a relatively small country. We do have soft power. We project ourselves very well, but America is a totally different ballgame. So just looking at it, I just thought, right, and this is a game changer. There's no messing here. The Americans are involved, and Daniel Kinahan particularly has a very, very serious problem at the minute, and I'll explain why. We know that he's in Dubai. He left Spain at the middle of the feud around 2017, partly because he was worried about being arrested by the Gardaí or the Spanish police, who Spanish police said in court that he was or he orchestrated the murder of Gary Hutch in 2015. So they have evidence. Gardaí have evidence they want to put to him. But he also left Europe because he was afraid of the members of the Hutch gang going after him. So there were two reasons. And he's now in effectively in an open-air prison in Dubai. There's no extradition there. He probably feels safe. You know, Ireland can battle and try and persuade the Dubai authorities. But when the Americans, who are the literal big guns, get involved, it just changes everything. So for me, there's an inevitability about it. Now, I was writing this in the Star today. It's $5 million. There is no loyalty in gangland. So our sources were telling us that they fully expect people who are close in his circle, in Daniel Kinahan's extended circle, really to rat him out, because it's an awful lot of money, and he is now a prime target.